Hey, what's up? This is Scott with Level Up Tutorials, and in this video, we're going to be adding our delete, and we're going to be toggling our edit form so that the form's not there all the time. And basically, we're just going to continue to make improvements on this app until it's complete. So let's get started with that right now. Okay, so in the last video we added our quick form. However, it's there all the time, it's annoying, it's taking up a lot of room, and we still have no way of deleting these items. Well, let's take care of the deleting first. I'm gonna go ahead and simply pop in here to our individual recipe. Now, just below the view details right here above the if menu, now, we already have the Font Awesome package installed. It's a nice, easy way to get font icons. I know that SVG icons are great, but for a quick project like this, using Font Awesome is certainly no problem. What I can do is simply just have a new icon, fa-trash. So the classes Font Awesome, Awesome-trash are going to have us a trash icon. Now, if you have downloaded the CSS, you will see when we head back, this trash icon already has some styles applied to it. And that's nice, it's in the top right, it's sort of grayed out, but when you hover over it, turns red, letting you know, danger, this is going to do something. Okay, however, when we click it, obviously nothing happens because we haven't rigged up anything yet. So let's actually head to our recipe.js and let's first copy this fa-trash because I'm going to use this class for the event. Now, just like we have any other event, we'll have a comma here, we'll have a string here, we can say click. When you click on the fa-trash icon, we're going to run a function. Now again, you might be wondering, why are we not using the arrow function here if we've used that other places? Well, we need to access this, and the this that we need to access is that of what we clicked on. You'll find, I believe, if you have an arrow function here and you click on this and you try to get this.id, it's going to come up with undefined. And in fact, we can prove that right now by just doing double parentheses equals greater than, like so. So we have our arrow function here, and we console.log this. Okay, so if we actually head to our page here and we were to click on the trash, you'll see that we're getting the window. And that's not what we want, right? We don't want the window. Obviously, we want that particular item. So if we head back, we remove this arrow function and make this into a normal function. This is properly going to grab, once this refreshes here, we click the trash, this properly grabs the object. We have salad, perfect. Okay, so now that we have this console log here, what we need is, we need to be able to delete this. Now, if you remember, we had some methods. Because this is going to be a server-side operation here, we're going to want to remove this particular item. We're going to need to do that in our methods. And the methods that we actually have defined already for an individual recipe are in recipes.js within your collections. And here we have Meteor methods, menu toggle item. Okay, well, the menu toggle item's great, so we can just add a comma and let's add delete recipe, like so. Now this can be a function and we can accept the ID. Now let's go ahead and we can say recipes dot remove, and then we can just pass in simply the ID. This is obviously nothing groundbreaking. We did this in the Meteor for Everyone series if you followed along with those. Now on the individual recipe, instead of console logging this, we can simply say meteor.call, pass in our delete, gotta spell it correctly, delete recipe. Make sure that's the same name here. It's actually probably just easier to copy this, that way there's no spelling discrepancies or anything like that. So we're going to call Meteor, we're going to call delete recipe, and we're going to pass it in this underscore ID. And that's all we need to do. So finish this up with a semicolon. Now, when we want to delete after this refreshes, we want to delete one of these items here. We can simply just say See you later. So now the salad is gone forever. It's removed completely from the database, and we never have to think about salad again. Okay, so we have our delete now. Let's go ahead and add some edit features. Now I like to use the pencil for editing, so we can simply come into our recipe. I'm gonna copy this FA trash. We can put it above it, and we can say FA pencil. Okay, and now you will see when we come in here, the pencil's right here. Now the pencil doesn't have any styles directly applied to it, so let's actually head to our CSS. And we can search for the trash. Now I want the edit to have very similar properties. We can simply copy this line, or we can add a comma here, and we can say FA pencil. Okay, and if we want to add a different hover to this FA pencil, we can come in here and just say FA pencil hover. And the hover color, if we want to keep this opacity at 0.6, that's a-okay, but let's actually change the hover color to something like the teal that we have in our variables. And it looks like I forgot the period here, so make sure you obviously have that. Now in addition, we have it, the other one at top right, 0 right, and we had a display block and padding of 20 pixels. What we can actually do is move this over to the right a little bit less. So if we were to say right, we could say right, maybe let's try 40 pixels just to see how this looks. And for some reason I just wrote teal here. I don't know what I was thinking, but obviously we need that to be color teal. Okay, now when you come here on hover, we now have this teal color, and perfect. Although clicking on this still isn't going to do anything, and our form here is sort of shown by default, let's actually take an approach to similar to how we did the showing and hiding of this in menu. However, we're not going to use the database, we're just going to be using a session variable. So this is actually one of the really cool packages that we added to our project when we first started, and we haven't touched on this package yet. However, it is the handlebars helpers, which allows you to define different helpers than what comes with spacebars. And some of these helpers are very super useful. The most useful one that I found is the ability to grab your session variables in template helpers without having to define your own helper. So for instance, we want this quick form to show up only if the edit session is equal to true. Now we can simply do that by saying bracket bracket. Now we can say pound if $session.get. Now we want the string of the session variable. So this session variable is just going to be edit mode. So if edit mode is equal to true, then show this edit form. Now we can simply have this if cut off like so. So if edit mode is true, then show this recipe. Obviously, since we have no edit mode defined, if we come to our page, you're not going to see any forms. However, we can change that simply by adding the toggle into our events. So head back to recipe here. We're going to copy this click event with the trash. Paste this in here. We're going to say FA pencil. Okay, and when FA pencil is clicked, we're going to say session.set. Then we're going to say edit mode like so, and edit mode is going to be equal to the opposite of what session.get of edit mode is. Now since by default we want this to be equal to false, we have an exclamation point here, right here, by the way. By default, since we want this to be false, we don't actually have to set any sort of default session for this. It's going to see that it doesn't exist. It's going to return the opposite of it and say it's true. So let's head here. Now I'm going to hit Control M so we can see our session variables in JetSetter here. Now when I come here to this pencil and select this, you can see suddenly edit mode is equal to true, and we have our form here. We can click the pencil again and the form's removed. So this is pretty cool. One thing we can do here, also this teal color isn't working. I'm going to actually change this to purple. So in our styles, we can just say perp here for the purple, and we can head back to our code. So let's actually think about this a little bit. If we're editing this form, do we need to see this information right here? And do we need the menu buttons? If you're editing the form, chances are you want to be editing the content here and not necessarily seeing all this stuff up here. However, the title card's all right. So let's actually come here. I'm going to cut this form from the bottom here. I'm going to paste it just right here. Okay, so we now have this if. What we can do is we can say else, and we can put everything that we want to hide within this else. So I'm going to grab all of this stuff right here. That is the description, the each ingredients, the view details, and in addition, I'm going to grab the menu buttons. I can leave the FA pencils and stuff like that because we need those. And let's go ahead and put this right here. So now it's not just turning on whether or not you see the form, but it's turning on or off the data itself here, except for the name. So if edit mode is false, it's going to show you the data. If edit mode is true, it's going to show you the form. Let's head to our page here. And as you can see, this one's already been updated. So we have ahi tuna, we have this name, all this cool stuff. We can click this out and awesome. So we have this nice little edit mode now where you can select this toggle and it's going to turn on this edit. Now there's again improvements to be made. Right now, edit mode, if you'll notice, because we're using a session variable that's simply setting the session to equal true, it's toggling every single one of these. That's not a terrible thing. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. However, it's really not how you would want this to work and not necessarily how your users would expect this to work. So in the next video, we're going to tackle that, making this just a little bit better here. And we're going to add a toggle for this main form up here. So as always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. If you have any questions or comments, leave a comment in the video, hit me up at Twitter or Facebook at Level Up Tutorials. I'd love to hear from you. In addition, if you want to help support, head over to store.leveluptutorials.com and check out some of the premium tutorial series I have available over there. I'm going to hit over 200 free tutorials this year alone. So if you want to help keep increasing that number of free tutorials released on Level Up Tutorials, head over to store.leveluptutorials.com and help support the creation of these free videos. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.